just waiting. And I think if I do make an announcement in Sydney, I say, I hereby resign all positions and retire gracefully and remain in Sydney for some time. And I tell you, there will be big fees in Anwar. The whole country, from the Prime Minister to Rosma, everybody rejoicing. And I probably on Monday will be a public holiday in Malaysia. So I'm not going to do that. No, Raja Petra is a friend. And you know, he was very committed. He worked very hard in the Free Anwar campaign when I was in prison. He has very strong views now. He's now in London. So giving instructions from London. I said, look, Pat, I can listen to you. I have to listen to the rest. You know, we are working in the real ground here. You can dictate policies from London. You can suggest things we agree, things we disagree. You can't give an idea to me and say, Anwar, you have to agree. I said, no, because bring it to the party. If a Pakatan like that, there are 3 parties. You know, this is not an UMNO rule where you dictate DAP and PAS. You have to build this consensus. So I think I would have to explain to him specifically what your strong views, what you think we need to do. But I don't think he's quite correct when he says that all suggestions are being dismissed. No. We want a democratic, free Malaysia. We are working to build the big debate. We're short of resources, no media. We have a party organ. Party organ is banned from the by the government. We're working under these circumstances. I mean, not like here, I can say whatever I like. I have the freedom of speech. In Malaysia, I have freedom of speech, but we don't have freedom after speech. The third question is the Bumi Putra Malay policy. Now, we have said this. I've said this a year before the general election in 2007. That caused a lot of consternation and worry and apprehension among many Malays. Because the Malay students are told in the Biro Tata Negara, was it called, you support Anwar, you don't have scholarship anymore, you are finished. Habis. Habis. So this also really, but I tell them, look, if you are qualified, or you are poor, maybe, or Chinese, we will offer. We will not waste. You know, Lim Guan Eng, as Chief Minister of Penang, under these very difficult economic conditions, we took over deficit. After 2.5 years, it is a 1 billion ringgit surplus. You know why? Because the waste. Tan Sri Khalid, Menteri Besar of Selangor, traveled to Korea. Official program. It's alone, 1 star. You have Menteri Besar from Anwar, we had 250, including spending time, 1.5 million ringgit by the former Menteri Besar of Selangor. 1.5 million ringgit. Where? Disney World. So you can, you know, we are talking about good governance, transparency. This is what we have done. Kedah. 1 acre of timberland in the past, given to cronies, 1,000 ringgit. Now tender, 19,000 ringgit. Can you imagine the difference? Which means, in a year, you can get so much. That is why we've been spending more. In Selangor, free water for the poor. Anyone, Malay, Chinese, Indian, died, given immediately 2,500 ringgit. It's not a Bumi Putra policy or Hindu policy or it's a Selangor policy. So that's changed. So I think it is better to be transparent like that. Now, do we, accepting for the provision of the Constitution of the Malay privileges and Malay rights, that we can't. You know, we move from the new economic policy of 30%. We will say that for the Bumi Putras, for the poor, marginalized, okay, we give some attention. That will give them the sense of security as a majority, poor, marginalized. That's why I'm appealing also to some, particularly the younger friends, Chinese or Indians. We don't need to push too far because you have a reaction. Because, particularly the Malays, the rulers, the Malay rulers, for example, you have to say protect the provision of the Constitution, protect the position of the Malay rulers. You can't say, well, why would the Malay rulers should have Chinese and Indian rulers? Like that, but then we have that. So then it doesn't become a problem, the political climate in Malays. Now the question is, obstacle. What? It is not an obstacle because we don't have a free and fair election. I'm going to speak to the friends, MPs in Canberra. I say, look, you talk about democracy. Can you condone elections in Burma? No, because the election is not free. Elections, yes, but this party cannot. This candidate, no. And this one, yes, okay, very good. This one, okay, you can have half an hour time in media because you support us. This one, no, no way. I mean, that's not election. That's called generals election.
Generals?
There's election to elect generals, like Indonesia in the past, I mean, Soeharto. Generals election, not general elections. So, you express your position. That's the major obstacle. Media. How do you have an election? Can you imagine? You have an election every night. They attack to the most serious allegations to the most petty. I went to a Hindu Tamil gathering and they were dancing, you know, very. So I went there to entertain them. I did this just for about 30 seconds. The TV went on every day. They expanded So I told them I can be, a former Muslim youth leader, but I know what foxtrot's all about. I can even do the tango, man. Don't underestimate me. But to say, look, this is the man. You want to call a Muslim Malay leader? Look, he's dancing. So she was wrong. I didn't. Yes, I did it. This part. So I did it again. So I said, this is a crime to you, not the murder, not stealing billions of ringgit. I said, I prefer to do that than stealing people's money. So they get angry. So they change. So that is also an obstacle. But it should not deter you from imagining that this is an impossible task. All these things were in place under Mahathir, under Dola, under Najib. No change whatsoever, except the slogans. One is Vision 2020, and then Hadari, and now one Malaysia. One for the rich, one for the poor. So my concluding statement is this. Notwithstanding all this said, I mean, intellectually, academically, we have even Asian values, which is adverted to. We have compelling argument intellectually, very strong, powerful. Bayama just said, debunking these arguments. Okay. But from practical level, you see, with all these constraints, you still won in Malaya. Can you imagine? No, not 1 minute of airtime, not one word in the mainstream media. The fraudulent process in the elections, hundreds and thousands of postal votes coming from somewhere and voting on their own. And still we won 51% of the votes. You see? We failed in the Haklan and Sabah and Sarawak, so we have to work harder. Will things change? I believe it will change for the better, even preceding the elections. You know why? If there's adequate international pressure, people express themselves, be counted in this clamor for change. And inshallah, we'll see a better Malaysia. Thank you.